Today is Wednesday, the 9th day of November 2022. Wednesday, 09/11/2022. This is Power Corridor. Power Corridor is a radio program, non-partisan platform for discussions aimed at giving clarity, balance, and setting the right agenda for societal change. To join the conversation live or catch up on previous episodes, you can follow us and watch live on Facebook, www.facebook.com/LawFM Radio. Instagram is at LawFM Radio. Our Twitter handle is at LawFM_radio. You can listen live on our website from anywhere in the world on www.lawfmng.com, www.lawfmng.com. The studio numbers for those who may want to call in live into the show, the studio numbers are 070-322-77338, 070-322-77338, or 090-9555-1039, 090-9555-1039. My name is Bola Oba. I'm available on social media, facebook.com/Gbola.Oba, facebook.com/Gbola.Oba. My Instagram page is at Bola Oba. My Twitter accounts or my Twitter handles are Bola Oba or at Bola_Oba. Today, our Nigerian proverb for today says, "The man that won't marry a woman who has other admirers won't marry a woman at all." I repeat, the man that won't marry a woman that has other admirers won't marry a woman at all. If she's beautiful, somebody else apart from yourself must wink at her and look at her. Mama Ofigo is looking at me sideways. Summary analysis of some of today's major news headlines. Summary analysis of some of today's major news headlines. Number one, gunmen dressed in military uniforms reportedly attacked commuters traveling on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway yesterday. The gunmen suspected to be kidnappers stormed the road from the bush before the Shagamu interchange en route Lagos and started shooting at motorists in the 18-passenger interstate bus. This is very disturbing. It is now incumbent on every one of us in any form of leadership in the Southwest. And we're not talking about those who are in political leadership alone. Those of us who have any form of influence, traditionally, spiritually, politically, about time we bonded together, strategized together, because this mess should and must be extirpated from our sub-region, from our region. This was how it started, like a joke in between Abuja and Kaduna. I remember about 4 years ago when a friend of mine who was traveling from Abuja to Kaduna was kidnapped. We thought it was going to go away. But you know what? Until we come together and be strategic in the way we go about getting this uprooted from our community, from our region, Sad. The convoy of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), was reportedly attacked in Maiduguri, Borno State today. The convoy of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate of the PDP, was reportedly attacked in Maiduguri, Borno State today. Another disturbing piece of news. I just pray this is not true. But let's be very honest with ourselves. Politics in our polity must not be allowed to degenerate to this level of violence. Politics must not be allowed to degenerate to a game of violence. It is supposed to be war of ideas, war of values, war of creativity, not an enterprise of violence. Lastly, after weeks of relief, diesel prices appear to be on the rise again, partly in response to the volatility in the energy market over concerns about supply from Europe and unstable foreign exchange rates. For many businesses, sustaining production for the Yuletide, that's the Christmas season, might not be business as usual, especially at a time when inflation has eroded consumers' purchasing power and inventory of unsold goods continues to rise. After weeks of relief, diesel prices appear to be on the rise again, partly, according to this report, in response to the volatility in the energy market over concerns about supply from Europe and unstable foreign exchange rates. For many businesses, sustaining production for the Christmas season might not be business as usual, especially at a time when inflation has eroded consumers' purchasing power and inventory of unsold goods continues to rise. This is where we wrap it for this segment. Our guest is pretty seated in the studio. When we come back, we do our literary intro, ushering in our guest, formally introduce him, and the show will roll.
About the law and their rights, because the law affects every aspect of daily living, irrespective of age or status. Law FM 103.9 ensures you get to hear the law, talk the law, and know your rights like never before. I am Khadija Okunulamidi. Keep listening to Law FM.
That's right. So my name is Honorable Hakim. Once you have an education, you can be anything in this world. But one thing, your parents will not suffer to pay your school fees. Government should guarantee that freedom for you. Payment of your school fees, getting a student loan, guaranteed by government. My name is Honorable Hakim Dixon. You are listening to me at 103.9 Law FM.
This is Nigeria's number one law radio station. 103.9.
Power Corridor on Law FM 103.9.
Welcome back to Power Corridor on Law FM 103.9. This program, Power Corridor, is a non-partisan platform for discussions aimed at giving clarity, balance, and setting the right agenda for societal change. And as it is our tradition, we bring in somebody that we believe will add value intellectually and otherwise to our listenership. Today, our guest is seated in our live studio in Lekki Phase 1. But as it is our tradition, we usually do a literary reading before we formally introduce our guest. Our guest today, and the title is "One of Tinubu's Foot Soldiers is Reporting for Duty." Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubi, the Jagaban, literally meaning leader of warriors of Bogu, like the fabled ancient Yoruba generals of yore, has best exemplified in the militaristic metropolitan meritocracy of old Ibadan, where, like Ogedegbe Agbogungboro Abikokoloju Ogun, the liberator of Ijesha land and generalissimo of the Ijesha Ekiti Parapo Army, and generalissimo of the Ijesha Ekiti Parapo Army in the final phase of the 80-year-long Yoruba Civil War, infamously known in its very destructive last phase between 1877 to 1893 as Kiriji War, who was brought into Ibadan as a slave boy and was raised to his latter life generalship. Asiwaju Tinubu has a reputation for turning boys to men and mere men or foot soldiers to generals. Our guest today is one of BAT's human edification testimonials. After graduating from LASU as a students' union leader in the institution and as the National Public Relations Officer of National Association of Nigerian Students (NANS), he came to work in Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government in the office of the SSA on Youths and Students Affairs under Comrade Olusegun Mayegun, who was himself a former president of the National Association of Nigerian Students (NANS). He became actively involved in civil society activities during his stay in the governor's office, where he worked with the legendary late Chief Anthony Enahoro, the man who is recorded in history to have moved the self-government or independence motion for Nigeria in 1953, and the late Dr. Bekor and Kuti, assisting them in their pro-national conference organization, pro-NACO mobilization as a liaison officer. He also worked with Senator Tokunbo Afikuyomi as a senior special assistant on programs, youths, and students, all at the same time. He became Lagos's youngest local government chairman in 2008 at the age of 33. The position wherein he served for 2 consecutive 3-year terms from October 2008 to October 2014 as the executive chairman of Amuwu Odofin local government area. He was a defeated aspirant at the APC House of Representatives Amuwu Odofin Federal Constituency's primary election that took place on February 27 on Friday 27 May 2022, and was also the APC Organizing Secretary from 2021 to April 2022, a position he democratically and in his respect for the rule of law he resigned from due to his House of Representatives aspiration in accordance with the party's constitution. Comrade Ayodele Adewale Charles Christopher Adewale, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you in our studios.
Thank you for having me, sir.
And one can only start by asking you, how does it feel to be around the mentor of mentors and the great political generalissimo himself? At least you are one of the faces known to flock around him.
Well, for me, it's a privilege, and the privilege is not taken lightly, and it's an opportunity to learn and, of course, develop in our own retrospect.
I was just wondering when I was thinking about how to start up with you. I was just wondering that many of you flock around him directly. Many of you are quite intellectually vibrant. You are quite very news savvy, international news savvy. I wonder if you sometimes ask him, Asiwaju, why is it that we seem to be only male characters around you? What about the female characters? As young as you people could be, and as intellectually vibrant, or are we saying that young Yoruba persons who are brilliant and who can be politically mentored to the level of excellence that some of you have gotten to can only be male? Just being Gbola Oba, you know what, and being a man of modern times.
Well, there are so many female within Asiwaju's network, both political and around his business enclave. Many of them, if not all of them, are very, very young, even younger than I am. One of the eggheads among them is Bisoye Koka, and so many of them. I guess the one you see regularly, those of us that have had the opportunity to occupy power, and because of our dealings in office, it attracts a lot of media focus that tend to put our face out there. Besides that, remember that I was in the student movement while Asiwaju was in exile, and because of all of those activities, again, tend to put our face in the mass media. But the underpinning is that there are so many young ladies, brilliant ladies, within the Asiwaju network.
Maybe this is a suggestion that I may want to enjoin you to take back to the guru himself. You know, one of these days when you guys are just light talking, that maybe female, young, upwardly mobile, ambitious, intellectually solid female characters, many that I know are quite interested to also want to share the same platform that those of you who are quite proximate to him do have, the privilege you do have. Maybe you suggest to him that you populate your ranks with one or two female. That's just by the way, anyway.
Well, coming out in the media is a question of choice. Some of them prefer to walk under the radar, and they believe that the achievement is what is most important, winning the set goals and making sure that things work perfectly. But I'll take your message back and try to push a lot of them out there.
You attempted to, you contested as an aspirant to be the candidate of your party for the House of Representatives in your constituency, a constituency where you had once been a two-term chairman, local government chairman, although the federal constituency will naturally be bigger than your local government area. I was just wondering, and you see, you contested about the time when people would ordinarily believe that Bodilon would have anointed or validated your aspiration, and yet Olule, you know, what happened?
Let me say for the records and for posterity, I was never defeated. I was never defeated.
Oh, are you telling me that there's no respect for the rule of law in your party and that things are done shoddily? Or?
Well, it wasn't shoddily done. It wasn't shoddily done. A lot of water passed under the bridge, and there's a lot of give and take. But again, the process must go on. But for the purpose of posterity, I was never defeated. In 2014, if I remember, I had a clear shot to run as an aspirant for the House of Reps, but I had different thinking. I wanted to sit back like Asiwaju did in 2007 and push more people out. And if you remember, I was the first test case for younger ones to take a shot into local governance at the grassroots. I was the youngest, then Ayo Joseph was the second youngest, the former chairman of Apapa local government. We were the two key experiments then, and as God will have it, actually did attest that we did very well, and he said it publicly. And after then, younger elements within the age of 30 started getting into the House of Assembly and of course the local government. It is no longer fashionable now that you see older people above 60 as chairman of local government in Lagos State anymore. In fact, the demography now, if you look at it, the population is within the age of 30 and around 47. There are more of them, over 73% of them now in local government in Lagos. And if you move to the House of Assembly, there are about 47% of them. By the next election, you're going to have more of them. So Asiwaju was able to support that young people have opportunity come in. Prior to that time, you have a lot of older people that did get that opportunity. And back to 2014 when I contested, a lot of people asked me, Asiwaju himself asked me, that would you like to have a shot at it? And I said, nah.
You probably were afraid because
I wasn't afraid.
You probably were afraid because you knew that your locale, your constituency is mainly populated by people who were predisposed to.
I would have won that election,
but your party didn't win it.
I would have won that election hands down. I was very popular. Our program was very popular.
As a local boy, you knew.
I was an area boy of my area. I knew about my area.
But you knew that you may not be able to punch.
No. Let me quick. I know you don't have time, but let me tell you what I did. You see, I came into the local government. I want to be very humble and very thankful to Asiwaju's backing. Former Governor Ebeshola, Senator Tokunfo Abifiku-Yomi, but most importantly, Baboni Widi Omojola, Chief Anthony Anaro of Blessed Memory, and Dr. Bekoran Sonkuti, and Professor Jadisola Akonde. Those were people that really gave that backing. But it was not a pushover. I ran my aspiration for 4 years, every day, aspiring, campaigning for 4 years before I won the election. And I had to even sell my Bluebird that was given to me, Nissan Bluebird, that was given to me by my mom in the university, because I rode the Bluebird and the Mercedes-Benz 200 while in the university. And I sold that Bluebird to produce handbills. And I was always on my moccasin, my jeans, and my t-shirt with my backpack, talking to people in my area. I had belonged to a caucus called the Alabaola Jide Campaign Organization. She was running for to become the chairman of the local government then, and she had reached out to me to support him. I'm a supporter, and I brought a lot of young ones, and we were just doing it without collecting money or material gains. We loved doing it, and her rating went very high. Unfortunately, she died. Then the group now said I should run. After that time, I was 28. And some of them said, go to affidavit that you are 30. I said, no, I won't do that. So that led me to campaign for 4 years. And after that, I won and I became chairman. And when we started Pronaco, I reached out to Chief Anthony Enahoro of Blessed Memory. I said, Papa, why is it that 30 years is now the political benchmark to come into local government and House of Assembly? I said, in your own days, it was 18. It was a heated argument. Remember that I was this mobilization and liaison officer, and I was secretary to Dr. Beko at the June 12 coalition, and I was secretary to Professor Wale Soyinka at the Citizens Forum. Then, So it was a heated argument. And they said, look, population have changed, more people are educated, they need to increase the bar. And I said, no. Pre-independence, we are younger people. And I remember that
the first Nigerian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom was a 22-year-old boy who was High Commissioner and also going to university.
You understand? Padesoya there was 21 in the lower house. Umbu was 22.
22 when he was High
Commissioner. And they said, we went forth and Mama Adesola Akonde were saying, "Yo, calm down. So we were on the table one day eating boli, and I brought up the argument again. And I won. Baba Omojola. They conceded to me at that point. And Baba now asked them a question on that table. It was on Joel Ogunaike, where the Speaker of Lagos State now live. He asked them a question. He said, "How old must you be to become a Royal Highness?" They said, "There's no age. You can be born into it. If the father dies, the son, like the drawing of Agbo." He said, "Okay." He said, "If you fight for your country at age 16 to 18 and you die for your country, what would they call you?" They said, they'll call you a hero. He said, "Fine. If you can lay your life for your country, why can't you serve in any position in your country?" That was how Enaro gave me that support, and we won. And they now asked me to go and write a position paper and present it at the plenary of the Pro-National Conference Organization, which I did. Then Mama Adesola Akonde was the head of the legal.
So that was the beginning of the campaign for
not too young to run.
It was. I think it's about time because we're getting to almost to the half mark. The telephone numbers, should you want to call when the lines are finally open, the telephone numbers are 070-322-77-338, 070-322-77-338, or 090-9555-1039, 090-9555-1039. Don't worry, we'll get to the. I know many of you are waiting for him to speak on Ashwaju's candidature as a presidential candidate. We'll get to that. Okay. Sorry about.
No problem. Just to put the nexus in now. So when I presented that
at the Pronaco,
at the plenary of the Pronaco, it was accepted as a document and position, and Pronaco took a decision that 18 years be the political benchmark into any elective office in Nigeria. That was when we were putting together the People's Constitution then, and
at the Grand View
Hall.
I was in England, in Magodo, but
we were part of the diaspora that they came to meet.
We were part of it, yeah.
So it became a document, and Mama Adesola Akonde ensured that it entered the draft constitution. I still have the copy and all of that, and we moved on. If Nigeria had that in its constitution, perhaps I would have been local government chairman at age 28.
That's history now, and the fact that your party didn't win.
No,
the rep when you said you voted there is history too. Let's leave our rear view mirror now and let's dive through our windscreen. You are all politics, they say, is local. You are a bona fide member of the APC in Lagos. There are a number of persons and parties contesting the governorship of Lagos with you guys. I see you are well, well kitted,
branded. We're coming from the Knife Fest program,
and I see
sponsored by the governor.
Governor Sanwo-Olu's picture on the adire you are wearing. You think you guys could have a go at it and win it all over again?
We're going to win. We're going to definitely win.
Your confidence is based on the
NOI
poll that was released recently, or what?
My confidence is based on performance. judging from what the present governor have been able to do in improving on the governance in Lagos and opening more opportunities for the people of Lagos to climb on, to develop according to their peculiar strength and ability. And also looking at, if you want to just oppose it to the kind of governance of Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, where he came in, won his election with barely over 500,000 in 1979. And by 1983, he won with over 1.5 million. And if you study that pattern, you know that he won that election because of the opportunities he created and the work he was able to do to improve the condition of Lagos.
So you are speculating such a margin on this occasion?
I'm not speculating, I'm affirming.
You can only speculate what has not happened.
I'm not speculating, I'm a scientist.
It's in the future.
I'm a scientist, and I can see.
But you know it's in the future.
The future can be determined by what happens today.
You are a scientist.
I'm a chemical scientist.
I use language a lot.
I know, sir.
And so it is appropriate to just say.
You see, in science, before you arrive.
Okay, never mind. I won't argue that with you. You made your point.
Thank you, sir.
Let's respect that and move to another.
Thank you, sir.
If you're listening to us and you believe that our guest's opinion on the likelihood of the major landslide for Governor Sanwo-Olu is feasible or not, you may want to call. The numbers to call are 070-322-77338, 070-322-77338, or 090-9555-1039. We cannot but go to the ultimate position in the land. Okay, we have a guest. We have a call, sorry. Caller, good evening. Your name, please, and where you are calling from. Hello, caller.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening. Your name, please, and where you are calling from.
My name is Francis Isaac. I'm calling from Becky.
What's your question for our guest?
Okay, with all due respect, I would like to ask our presenter, our colleague there who's sitting, what are the major achievements that Sanwo-Olu has done in Lagos State?
Very legitimate question. Thank you very much. Very legitimate question. Yeah, you want to go for that?
Well, Mr. Specifically in the area of infrastructure.
You just itemize. He wants to know the achievements.
The Lekki Free Trade Zone has been completed. It is now working. It has attracted a lot of opportunities for people. There are many road projects all over the state right now. I can tell you of that of Amuwo-Odofin. There is a big flyover bridge that is almost in completion, that is going on right now. The rice mill that have just been completed, they're just fine-tuning the last part of it, which also will provide a lot of jobs and provide a lot of opportunities for people. The housing projects, many houses have been completed. Affordable houses.
You think they are affordable?
Rent to own. You pay every month to own your own house.
Very innovative.
That's there, very innovative. The transportation system. The governor recently bought a lot of cars and gave it to Lagosians at a very reduced rate, and of course backing it up with insurance policies and all of that. The Blue Rail, by next month it will commence operation. That also created a lot of jobs for people here in Lagos.
Until that is delivered, I would want to tell you to be a bit sober, flaunting it. The reason being that it's been on
before it is delivered,
for about 20-something years.
Before it is delivered, sir, there are people working there. It is not just the end point, the end user point that we're looking at. We're also looking at opportunities that is created
at
along.
some point, if you look at your stretch, the infrastructure between National Theatre and say Alakija, you would notice that at some point you know, some of those stations were even literally being used as a fecal point for people, you know, people. You understand? I'm sitting there now thinking, until it's done, it's not done.
No, it is done. It's work in progress. Look, I'm not only looking at the completion of the project, but what are the derivatives along the term of the project itself? People are working there. People are making earnings there. As long as that project is there, thousands of people are making their livelihood from that project, and they're taking care of their family. If you look at the school project, the school renewal that is being done, more schools are being built, provisions are being put in place, more teachers are being employed, and all of that. These are things that the Governor Sanwo-Olu administration have been able to sustain in Lagos.
If you are listening to us and you want to validate or indeed dispute some of the things that Comrade has itemized as the achievements of Governor Sanwo-Olu, the numbers to call 070-322-77338. Okay, we have a call. Good evening, caller. Your name and where you're calling from.
Good evening, Bola Oba.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Ayodele Adewale. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
My name is Tunde. I'm calling from Makoka. Bola Oba, I must thank you for bringing a vibrant young man like Yray. Now, you see, most of us ironically thought that the youth have not been in politics all this while. I don't know what blinding our eyes. But I want to tell you that we are enjoying something now because we have a consistent rule of civil rule. Now look at it. In 1983, the military hijacked the power. Up to 1999, how could the youth of those days be trained by the elderly politicians? I think the present youth are lucky. It's not left for them to key into the stability of this nation. And we can see the consistency. As I listen to this young man, I know that no, we still have future in this nation.
He's even getting old now because he's in his 40s now.
He's still under 50 now.
Oh yes, I guess so.
And if you look at Margaret Thatcher started from the local council, you can bear me witness.
You are right.
And she rose up to that's what we are doing. They should go to the grassroots. It's not that you don't just come and want to become the governor. It's not done like that. You have to be on the queue.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution. Is well there. And to be honest with you, from the point that the gentleman just made, look at India juxtaposed to Pakistan. Because there were disruptions in Pakistan, look at what's causing Pakistan, and look at India. We have another call. You seem to be a very popular guest. Good evening, caller. Your name and where you are calling from.
Good evening, sir.
Evening.
Yeah, I'm calling from the regulation.
Our guest is all yours.
So, sir, I want to ask our guest on the studio. Is the government of Sanwo-Olu aware of South Agbero have taken over Lagos, even beating passengers? Is they aware?
Good question. You want to respond to that? Thank you very much for that question.
Yes, I want to respond to it. The government of Lagos is doing a lot in redirecting some of the lost energies by some of these youth. But again, you must understand the pattern of the unorganized road transport unions that you have. And that is why the governor was
unorganized.
Unorganized. When I say unorganized, they are not as organized like what you have in the private sector, whereby you have a
National Union of Road Transport Workers used to be and still is before
the Lagos State
statutory coup that you people did in Lagos.
There was no coup. The Lagos state government.
You don't think there was a statutory coup?
It wasn't a coup. The unionists were creating some social disturbance and there's no reasonable government that will sit aside and watch
and now that it belongs to an agency called the Parks and Garages Management, this thing, you've seen any difference?
It took a long time before the Lagos state government could wield the big stick to put them in an organized
Have you seen any improvement?
Now, they were just...
Given the question of our caller?
They were just put in. You're going to have a process of training and retraining in order to get them as organized as we will have in contemporary societies.
So, but at this juncture, you would want to agree with the caller that the seeming misbehavior and the violence they visit not only...
That was why the Lagos state government took action. Because things like that cannot go on. For a very long time, they've been taking time to talk to them, to take them back into the garages, and they came up with the argument that when they were in the garages, you have people that, using the street language, sole, people will prefer to jump on the road and just pick passengers without being registered with the registered unions, and those who saw that they were not making them to make a lot of profit, and they also have to come out in order to collect their capitation fee, their union fees. And in doing that, there were scuffles and all whatnot. But with this structure that the Lagos state government have brought now, I can assure you that within some few months, we are going to see...
Talking to you as a former local government chairman,
yes,
and as somebody who I know is quite well exposed, you've done exchanges with councils across the world, London, Bristol,
yeah,
not only United Kingdom, even
United States
of America.
Yes.
Do you think the method that the government seemed to have given its imprimatur to this method, do you think is an accountable method?
You should also look at population explosion. Look, we do not have the legal standard to evoke a law within Lagos and say you must come in to Lagos owning a visa. As long as you cannot control the population.
No, what I'm saying is...
No, I'm linking it to what you have asked. Because in those countries, they've been able to control their population. And controlling population means that you don't have an influx of people coming to disturb your system. Why do you think Britain went out of Brexit? At some point, they could not control the people from Eastern Europe. They were flocking in, they were disturbing their system.
Let's get into that.
Because if Britain had not taken that position, they will end up with what we have now that we are trying to revamp.
No, let me be a bit more specific. Maybe we didn't understand ourselves better. Ordinarily, an agency such as the Parks and Garages Management Agency could have all the commercial vehicles in Lagos registered, and through their mobile phones, even if it's just Palasa, every morning you could just do a USSD a payment of say 100, and when somebody stops you, you show the person, and the money will go to the coffers of the government.
Definitely.
But we now have a situation where some strong boys, or you know what I mean, you are talking to a mushy boy.
I'm trying to understand you.
As strong boys with and you don't. It does not seem to play to accountability. It does not even seem to play to the fact that the government will benefit. What do you think about that?
You must first understand that the people we call strong boys actually belong to an association. The association can only be regulated. And many of these people also come from a background where they have a lot of naughty upbringing. And those naughty upbringing has been inculcated into them and become a culture. It has taken almost forever for them to get to where they are. Those people you are mentioning, none of them is below the age of 20 or 25. Now, the Park and Garages agency was recently activated. It was activated just recently. It will take some time to deculture.
The circumstances that seemed like...
the circumstances you just raised. If you remember, sir, about a year or two ago, the Lagos state government worked with some private sector to bring in buses and brought in those unions to try to exchange
to own franchises.
These are things that will improve on their behavioral pattern.
If you're listening to us and you really want to engage with Comrade Ayodele, the numbers to call, which you can also send text messages and WhatsApp messages to. Good evening, caller. Your name,
Mr. Oba, sir.
Your name and where you are calling from, sir.
This is Mr. Olumide from Ijesha Surulere.
Comrade Ayo is all yours.
Comrade, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Well, I totally agree with you on some of your statements, sir. Since there's no way we can control the number of people coming to Lagos every minute, not even of talking of every day, I don't think, which is, though the government has some things to do, they have some efforts they have to make in checking the activities of these boys. Apart from that, sir, the garages should be well managed, because at times you see boys sleeping there. Even when they sleep there, they do a lot of things that are not manageable, and you can't imagine. Can the government be going every night, every midnight, or every early morning to be checking on these boys? Where about 10, 20, 50, 100 of them sleep under the bridges where they turn to parks?
Thank you very much. The truth is that there is no physical infrastructure in the Lagos megacity area, even beyond Lagos State as we speak, that is not like the catacomb of Rome.
No.
I'm telling you.
No. I can give you, sir.
There's no physical infrastructure where people don't, where there is no subterranean life.
No.
You want me to point to
Mr. Oba? If you go to Ikeja, in front of our Ike house, you see a modern bus station that was just created by Lagos.
Let's take this caller for you. They take precedence before. Caller, your name and where you are calling from.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening, my brother. Your name and where you are calling from.
And I greet your guest. Aladalakwa is my name. Mauritius from Ojo in Lagos.
Okay.
Bola, you know, when you were talking about Lagos, know that the leadership that is those in the realms of affairs of Lagos State, not that they are not doing anything, not that they are not building infrastructure, not that they are not creating jobs, but when you see the influx of people, even some people that doesn't have anything to do in Lagos, just because they know or they see that their brother or their family or their neighbor in the village maybe traveled home and went home with maybe jeep or
my brother Alaba.
Sir?
One of the reasons why Lagos's economy is stronger than many in the sub-region is also because of the population. You see, this thing has its own advantage and it comes with some baggage too.
The angle I'm driving to is this. It's because of those people who are populating it, who are coming to Lagos to do nothing, or coming to Lagos, okay, because of my brother came home with the driver. Those people that the ones they are building Lagos, you see one single room, 5-10 people are living in single room. Understand? So if Lagos the government want to make an effort to send them back, another Lagos State, the Yoruba people. So these are the things that
like Peter Obi did to Fashola in those Peter Obi did to Fashola in those days.
No, there is no land. Lagos does not have much land. But the people who are coming, the influx of over 15,000 of people every day in Lagos State. So that's why other states should emulate Lagos. They should make their own two states more greener, so that we can have development around.
Okay, thank you for calling. Okay, we were exchanging ideas on, and I'm telling you, you could do a cursory examination when you leave this studio now and when you've been driven off. If you look under any bridge in Lagos, if you look under any physical infrastructure, be it a pedestrian bridge, this thing, you will see a sign or a symptom that a subterranean form of life transpires.
You have the same thing in New York. You have homeless people everywhere.
You don't want to use such as that.
No. New York is a very sophisticated crime.
My brother,
you understand?
You know why you shocked me?
Why?
You know why you shocked me? because there are other liberal democracies that are not as decadent as that. You could want, if I accept that
you
example,
can only get that in the Scandinavian countries.
No,
and those countries have been able to checkmate population inflow. If you cannot checkmate that, you keep having this. But coming back to your bus stop structures, look, remember that we used to have a period where you had Molue littering all over Lagos. Now the Asiwaju administration had to introduce modern buses. Now you hardly see them. The same thing we're doing with modern bus stops. If you go, one was burnt at Oyinbo. That was a modern bus stop. At TBS, you have modern bus stop.
That was
along Malausa, you have modern
a major bus gap.
Thank you.
Unfortunately,
so that is to say that your submission was not totally correct. That you have ramshackle bus stops all over the place.
No, the guy didn't say ramshackle.
No, you were trying to link it to part of Rome.
I said there is no physical infrastructure. You seem not to have understood that. There is no physical infrastructure in Lagos, that there is no subterranean form of life. And I was linking it to the catacomb of Rome. The catacomb of Rome were meant to be underground drainages.
Thank you, sir.
But people populated and were sleeping.
That means Lagos and its people here are very accommodating.
Oh yes. But that has to be checked too.
Although if you have to be careful while checking it, so that you don't infringe the constitution.
Which constitution
of Nigeria that allows freedom of movement?
The constitution allows freedom of movement with some responsibilities. We must preach that to our population.
The constitution never said they must have some form of responsible behavior. In order to move around.
Somebody, because I'm free to move around now, I should just bring cattle in front of your house.
That is what the government of Lagos is carefully checkmating.
We must also spell the responsibilities of people.
That means you're on our side. Thank you so much, sir.
I have these WhatsApp messages for you. Welcome back, Gbola Oba, concerning attack on Atiku convoy. I hope himself and others with him are safe. Having said that, you and I know this is election season where politicians perform or pull out different types of stunts so as to win cheap popularity. And when you're right, the cynics of this world, okay, that's to win cheap popularity and to send messages. If you know, you know. Okay, I will pretend not to know. Amuwo Odofin has become a trouble spot, an headache for APC aspirants to win due to the votes and concentration of the Igbos. This is a known reality. Sanwo-Olu enforcement came as a result of his total submission and surrender to the powers that be in Bodilon because he has not performed or done more than what Fashola and Ambode did not have to deserve the second time in office. We have what we have. I hope you understood that. I don't know what you will respond to that in that, but this is the last shot. Just giving us do a synoptic review of some of the points you may have not made well enough. I give you about 1.5 minutes and we'll wrap it up.
There's concentration of businesses that helps our internally generated revenue in Amuwo Odofin. They are very loving people, and I will burst your bubble that we have more of the Arewas that has voting strength than the Igbo. I was chairman before.
Even in Amuwo Odofin.
In Amuwo Odofin.
You mean further down after Lasu?
Even Festac Town. Festac Town as a whole.
Okay.
The voting population is domiciled more in the Arewa people.
Anyway, you should know your constituency.
I know the demography of the votes.
Your constituency. Yes. I can argue that with you. To be honest with you, the greatest problem of this show is that it does seem that when it's getting back in doing time comes in and dictatorially tells us, we really want to thank you for the privilege of your presence. I'm not surprised that you were as intellectually resistant as because come to think of it, the person who is your chief mentor is the man who nurtures people around ideationing and intellectual jostling. I wish you all the best in your endeavors.
Thank you, sir.
And your party the best.
Thank you, sir.
We didn't have much time to talk about Asiwaju's presidential candidature or candidacy, but you know what? There will be some other time.
Amen. Thank you for having me, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure. Mama Yray Ofigo has been the quiet producer of the show. I guess the only time she gets to speak is when I'm offshore, like I was on Monday in Abuja, and I had to call in. I will be encouraging her to also be chipping in verbally. This is where we'll wrap it up for this show, this episode, until Friday.
Discover what you can do right now.
All the youths in Nigeria, let me assure you that no matter what you are going through, the future is bright. You are the future. You have the power to create.